What's up, Zach here, and today I've got the all-new Diadora B.Elite Star, and thanks to Diadora for sending me a pair of these to check out. However, this video is not sponsored. As always, all opinions on these, good, bad, and indifferent, are all my own. I will say, to me, these are almost perfect, except for like one or two things that make them not perfect. I guess I should say, watch the whole video, and then decide if you're gonna go out and get these, because yeah, they do look cool, they feel cool, they play cool, maybe just not for everybody. Let's get into them. All right, now starting off in the uppers, I do wish that we got more of this in the space. You get a lot of premium comfort elements, but also then premium performance elements, as well as like style elements. So you have this really soft, like leather Diadora logo and then reinforced lace line. Now you do get two options of runner's knots in the most two proximal lace eyelets. Now that accompanied with a little bit more of a high backed heel counter. I mean, there's a decent amount of padding in the heel counter and ankle collar. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but lockdown on these is really good, especially with a little bit of a higher gusset. In terms of heel slippage, if you don't have a runner's knot in, you don't have an orthotic in, it's mild. If you've got an orthotic and no runner's knot, it's mild to moderate. And then if you have a runner's knot in, doesn't matter if there's an orthotic or not, it's really mild to none, really. You look at the lace line itself, and these are all cuffed lace eyelets. The last one, you actually get a choice. You can go through a traditional eyelet or go through this cuff to protect it a little bit more from sliding. You kind of need that because these laces, this is the one thing on these. I mean, if you're wearing them casually or for like recovery or whatever, that's fine. But for performance, they are a little bit soft, and so they pull through a lot. So tension's kind of sometimes hard to get on them, and they will just really get scuffed up and kind of start to tear very easily. I noticed I was actually tearing mine just from making kind of runner's knots over and over and over again and testing the shoes over and over again with that stuff. I was even starting to get a little bit of fraying on them, and just for the minimal amount of sliding that my back foot will do. Now, in terms of heating on these things, that was kind of the bigger surprise. The tongue on these things, it's decently padding. It does have breathing pores through it from the inside all the way through the outside, and it's incredibly soft on the inside. I mean, it is super comfortable. It's a wider tongue, and then in the forefoot, you do get 2 layers of padding. On the outside, that padding, it's more just a textile mesh. It does have a ton of breathing channels. Remember, there is polyurethane over top of that, though. Look at it on the heat mapping, though. They did heat up 93.6 degrees, which honestly, for everything that's going on in the uppers, all the reinforcement, all the paneling, the foxing and everything, I actually thought that was pretty good. That's like kind of in the middle of the road in terms of a generic shoe. But for what's going on in them and how plush they feel, how much is going on in them, I actually think that's pretty good. Look at them on the breathability mapping with the fog machine. It does take a second, but fog does start pouring out of the forefoot kind of once it finds its way through that textile mesh. So for a shoe with this much polyurethane, especially in the toe box, I look at that, speaking of, on the upper durability test, 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, basically just scuffs it up, really not a lot of damage at all. You do get exposed foam there though, so that'll start to look weird. But you know, the shoe's not that heavy, and you're getting all these like really soft, comfortable elements in the uppers, but then the containment's also pretty good as long as you got the right laces in there. Yeah, it is just kind of the perfect combination in the uppers of smooth, buttery, comfortable feeling, but also they're rugged enough. I wouldn't say they're as containing as the Torneo, Torneo 2, Torneo 3, or the B Icon for sure. They definitely have, they're a little softer, but I was shocked at how little I felt my foot kind of really pushing through them. So yeah, they're better than you think they're gonna be. Still not as elite, no pun intended, still not as elite as some of Diadora's other products though. All right, now getting into the midsole teardown, when I say these are comfortable, I mean, this is, just give me a second. This is one of the few pairs I actually got a second one so I could wear them around. Not to play tennis in, but I wear these to work when I'm not testing a shoe out, because typically I'll wear a shoe to work just to test them out. Like I'll be walking around the office. If those of you in the audience are patients of mine, you'll know I always have a different shoe on in the office. But if I don't, this is kind of my new work shoe. So that's why I got these, because the midsole is so comfortable. It is an entire bed of Diadora Anima foam. Feels a lot like the B Icon 3 in terms of how plush it is. The one thing that it does not have is a very supportive shank. There is a shank there. It is very flexible, and it is very, it doesn't go very long in the shoe. It's very short. So, and it's bottom loaded. So it's very thin. So is it doing much? Not really, but it is there. I mean, you're gonna get a little bit of load sharing. You'll get a little bit more, you'll get a little more durability of the foam. It's not gonna be anywhere near as durable of a foam construct as the Icons, as the Tornios though. So that's another thing you gotta look out for. And it also is a little more buttery, a little more soft, flexible on court. If you like that, and we'll talk about it when we get to the fit section. I mean, it does feel amazing on court, but it doesn't have that snap, right, that those other two shoes do from Diadora. You look at it on the diving board test, yeah, I mean, it only takes about 43 newtons to push that up, so not a lot of resistance going on there. Look at it on the bounce height test, 33 centimeters in the rear foot, 33 in the forefoot. And yeah, that's kind of right there in the middle there, a little more shock absorbing, but also a little more, lively foam. Just remember, in these ones, it is the foam doing all the work in terms of shock absorption as well as snapback. So, like I said, if you like a more flexible shoe, and a lot of people do, this is definitely a good pickup for you. Like I said, though, in terms of, I know it's the same foam in these as in the Icon 3 or similar foam in terms of how they tune that anima foam. I know Diadora does tune it differently sometimes, but it does feel similar. Like I said, you're just not getting that real violent snap that the Icon 3 does. Still though, same plush feeling. They are incredibly comfortable. But in terms of that containment, there are ways that you can just customize that a little bit to get a little bit more containment out of these. If that's kind of your biggest, that's kind of your biggest sticking point. You can do containment webbing on the inside of these shoes. If you want to learn how to do that, I do have a new ebook coming out that has this and a whole host of other customizations you can do at home with incredibly cheap materials to make your shoe as custom as possible, as one-to-one with your foot as possible. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description below. All right, but getting into the outsole tread, this is basically a star pattern that starts as a bullseye under the big toe, then it kind of starts to ripple out, so it's become a little more hard lines after that. Now this tread is incredibly wide and chunky. You kind of need that because the durometer on these isn't as high as maybe some others. Although we'll get to it in a second. The burr still didn't do much to it. Focusing on the grip test ramp, slips at 36 degrees, pretty typical. And then on the speed ratio, comes in at a 2.52, shank score of 0.1. I'll give it to them, but brings it up to a 2.62. Yeah, I think when they're new, I think that's appropriate. I think as you break down the foam over time, they probably start to not feel as lively underfoot, but while they're new, I do think that is appropriate. Getting back to the durability. On the outsole durability test on these things, 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, yeah, the burr just scuffs it. And I think a big thing with the durability on these is gonna be how wide the tread is. There's a lot of load sharing that can go on with this, a lot of surface area that you can share that friction, so it's not really thin lines of tread. I do think on the inside of the shoe, if you slide a lot, you might start melting that tread. You might start losing the best parts of it. But yeah, like I said, the burr didn't do much damage, if at all, and it is wide, chunky tread. So I will say I had these on really rain-slicked courts one day, testing these and a couple others out, and these were by far the best. That little bit of softness in that rubber. I thought these weren't going to do great because they were a little bit flatter, wider, but the way it fans out on the lateral side, it was gripping on rain-slick courts, even on the baseline. It was gripping just as good as like it would have on a normal court, just on a sunshiny day. And that I thought was a real testament to just how grabby, how just tactile they felt on court. You do get a flange on these. It is reinforced with the same shank material, so that is nice. But once again, like the Icons, like the Tornios, the push-off power on these is not as snappy. Feels, like I said, a little more flexible, super comfortable, and like I said, super tactile, buttery. It's just a different feeling. All right, but getting into the fit of the B.Elite Stars, this is where the break-in profile, I think, really does a nice job. Now, number one, they do have an 11-degree in-flare, which is kind of mellow. It's just starting to get up there. 28.6 centimeters in length, just a hair short, 9.5 centimeter metatarsal width, a toe box width of 10.5 centimeters, heel width of 6.3 centimeters, minimum midfoot width of 6.5 centimeters and a toe box taper of 27 degrees. Because they break in so well, if you're a narrow medium foot, I still think you can go true to size on these. A narrow foot, I think you can go down a half on these because they break in so well. But if you just want to go true to size and put an orthotic in there, I think it's fine. A 2E, I think you can go true to size on these things. A 4E, if you want to go up 1/2 size, get an orthotic in there or just have a little more room, I think it's fine, but I do think you can break them in true to size just because they break in so well. So you get a little bit of that weight reduction in there if that's important to you. If it's not, just go up a 1/2 size for you. It's fine. In terms of what I'll be recommending these for, and in terms of performance, in terms of heel pain, if you got an orthotic in there, I think they're okay. I still think that if you're somebody with heel pain and you want this, why don't you get the Tornio 3 or the B Icon, because it's more protective. Like I said though, with the orthotic, they are good. I think if you're looking for a shoe that is flexible, buttery, really like that all court type movement, almost like the Uber Sonic 2, but in a little bit of a nicer, more premium package. If you're looking for that shoe again, then that's these, right? If you're looking for kind of like how the uppers of the GP Turbo felt, without the midsole, obviously, that's what these feel like. They're almost like a 996, also with like more premium materials. It just kind of feels a little bit better. I don't know, 996 is a pretty comfortable shoe though. So, and it's also nice because they're good casual shoes too. And they look really cool. I typically don't get into style on this channel because this is the Foot Doctor Zach channel. This isn't the Hype Beast channel, but to me, you can't overlook the amalgamation of all these super premium and premium looking materials, as well as the more rugged materials. I do think it is a blueprint for shoes going forward if you want to do something in the tennis space and kind of get that tennis style that, you know, it's actually like coming back into vogue, right? Like you see like, there's all these like tennis chic, tennis style type things. People that are wearing it aren't playing tennis, but it's definitely coming back into more of the fashion space, like tennis fashion is starting to really come back in. And so I think if brands want to maybe sell more shoes to people that even aren't playing tennis or pickleball, you know, just for style points, I think this is definitely a way to get more shoes off the shelf for sure. So love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Like I said, I have another pair of these, so I mean, these are definitely a pair that I'm wearing casually. If I was playing in a match, I'd still probably, if I'm buying Diadora and I'm playing in a match, I'm still gonna buy the Tornio 3. So that's where I'm at, but I could see a lot of people that want a little bit more of a flexible feeling shoe, a little bit more of a comfortable, buttery shoe, are gonna go with these over that Tornio for sure. So I'd love to hear, like I said, love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And I do wanna know if you think the style of these is as cool as I think it is, or if you think it's kind of maybe more old fashioned or just not for you. Let me know in the comments down below, because I do kind of want to see if they kind of hit the mark with those. So let me know. And if you do want to see what I'm talking about with the Diadora Blue Shield Tornio 3, as well as B Icon 3, make sure you click into either of these two videos above, subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam. I'll see you somewhere in the sneakerverse.